It's another beautiful day in London. I'm just on the way to the supermarket now. Don't worry, not all of my vlogs are going to be in the supermarket, I promise. I've got to do a shop, stock up my fridge again, and I've got quite a busy day today. So I brought you guys with me. And I wanted to do a little video today on camera aperture. So this is a kind of basic introduction and explanation about using aperture effectively for your photos. Now, if you already know about photography, then I hope this will still be fun. And if you're just getting started, this should give you a better idea about how to use aperture to your advantage when taking photos. That's quite a cool car, I like it. So when any of my friends ask me how to get started in photography, I always say to them, the best way is to get a decent camera and shoot in an auto mode. A lot of people, when they want to get into photography, they go and buy an expensive digital SLR and put it in manual. And essentially that's throwing yourself into the deep end. Unfortunately, the thing about cameras is that there are so many variables in getting a good photo that putting the whole camera in manual is just going to be confusing and you're not going to get the results you want. In my opinion, the best way to look at getting started in photography is you take photos in automatic, let the camera decide what the best settings are, but you get over time an understanding of how to use aperture, shutter, ISO and exposure compensation to use those four things to your advantage, so that if you come across a situation where the automatic setting in the camera is not doing what you want or expect, then you have the understanding of how to change the settings to get the result you want. Do you mind if I take a photo of your van? It's so nice.
You carry on.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice. Oh, it's alright. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. That's really cool. If only every builder turned up in one of those. So the aperture is the opening in the lens through which light comes through and hits the sensor and creates a picture. Now, the more open the lens when you take the photo, the more light's coming through. This means that you can have a faster shutter speed, so you can freeze the movement that you're trying to capture. Conversely, if you make the aperture much smaller, then you have to have a longer shutter speed to compensate, so enough light comes through to take your photo. So what effect does aperture have on your photos? So in its simplest form, if the aperture's open, the background of the photo will be blurry. If the aperture's closed, everything will be in focus. To help me demonstrate this, I'm going to use this guy. Notice how as I open up the aperture, the background gets more and more out of focus. So it boils down to an artistic choice on how you want your photo to look. Now, of course, in dark conditions, in order to get a decent shutter speed, you're going to have the aperture as open as you can. And therefore, in very bright conditions, you're going to have the aperture closed down. So that's going to affect how your picture's going to look. So that's a brief explanation of aperture and how to use it for your photos. Okay, my train's here in 1 minute. Okay, I've got a show tonight, I've got to head into town. I'm going to get this train, and then we're going to get there on time. So I hope that little description of Aperture has been interesting and useful for you. To recap, in general, if you're a beginner to photography, I think it's best to put your camera in automatic and learn about aperture, shutter speed, ISO and exposure compensation slowly so you have a good understanding. So then you can use the knowledge of those when the camera isn't quite getting the picture that you want in the automatic setting. I'm in the middle of my show now, that's why I'm in a boiler suit. I'm going to do a couple more videos over the next few days about shutter speed, ISO and exposure compensation, and I hope these are helpful. Now I've got to go and do my job. Thank you so much for watching today's vlog. I hope that's been of some use to you. I'm just on my way home now. I'm going to be back in town tomorrow for another show. And yeah, see you next time.